Good afternoon. Well, I promised that I would read a children's book each Sunday as part of Kareem Neal's project in Black History. Today is July 4th, and I'm choosing to read the book today instead of tomorrow. July 4th has always been a conflicted holiday for me because I read. And I read the Declaration of Independence, and I read its words that all men are created equal. And that's always been a problem for me because, you see, I'm not a man. So I was not created equal. It is also a problem for me because men was written to mean white men only. Men who weren't white were not created equal in accordance with the Declaration of Independence, his words. To Thomas Jefferson's credit, he tried to get language into the Declaration of Independence to mitigate slavery. He was unsuccessful. He did not try to do anything about women. And so July 4th is a day that I think of and celebrate in a way because it is a day that reflects our country's independence from England. But it does not reflect my independence or the independence of the millions of people of color who live in this country. And so today, I'm choosing to read this book. I've already read about Langston Hughes. I've already read a fictional book about Langston Hughes. And I've already read this poem. But I could not find my copy of this book, and now I have. And so on July 4th, I am choosing to read I Too, a poem by Langston Hughes, in book form, and the title of the book is I Too Am America. The poem is by Langston Hughes. The beautiful, gorgeous illustrations are by one of my favorite children's book illustrators, Bryan Collier. And I'm going to read the poem first. I'm going to read you the book. And then I'm going to read you what Bryan Collier says about his illustrations. I am by training a librarian, and I've always collected characters of authors, of poets, and of characters who appear in children's books. And so this is my Langston Hughes character that I was able to find at a library convention many years ago. So let's read this book together. I Too Am America. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and I eat. And I grow strong. Tomorrow, I will be at the table when company comes. Nobody will dare say to me, go eat in the kitchen then. Besides, They'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. The wonderful Omalno poem by Langston Hughes may be spare with words, but it is loaded with power. It speaks of the relentless courage and dignity of the Pullman porters who were able to show while working day in and day out in a job and in a country where they suffered injustice and unfair treatment in working conditions based on nothing but the color of their skin. Although Hughes never specified any certain person in his poem, I've created a visual storyline that shows how the Pullman porters lived out the message of the poem. My story depicts the true actions of Pullman porters gathering newspapers, magazines, blues, jazz albums, and other items left behind by traveling passengers, and then from the back of the last train car, tossing this bundle into the air, acting as a conduit of culture, a distributor of knowledge to those who couldn't afford these items on their own. In my version, these items lyrically soar through space and time as some land in a cotton field down south in a distant past, discovered by a joyous young girl who will learn from them. And part of this bundle lands in a different, more modern time, in a northern cityscape reminiscent of Langston Hughes' own hometown of Harlem, New York, where they are still eager hands and minds ready to absorb whatever knowledge they can. I also want to direct your eye to the Stars and Stripes American flag motif, a more subtle way I have tried to convey the message that I took from Langston Hughes' words. It first appears as a light veil over the force of a Pullman porter, but toward the end of the book, it completely covers a mother and son riding the subway. And even later in the last image, that same boy creates an opening through the flag and peers through it to an unknown future. It acts as a metaphor for the growth of our people in this country, almost invisible during the Pullman porter's time, just as he was even, though he worked every day in plain sight, but bolder and stronger toward the end, no longer invisible and ignored. To me, this represents how far African Americans have come in this country since the Pullman porter's time, and even since Hughes' time, and how bright our future can be. And these are the words of Bryan Collier about his illustrations. So I just want to take you back to this picture. What was a Pullman porter? A Pullman porter was someone who worked on a train and served the needs of the people on the train, getting them drinks or food or whatever it may be that they happen to need. And here they are standing at the back of the train on the last car, throwing all of the debris that had been left behind by passengers on the train, magazines, newspapers, albums, books, whatever it may happen to be, tossing them out the back of the train. Where they landed, they flew through the air, and the wind carried them into the farmlands of the South. Where a young girl could pick them up and read things she didn't have access to the city, where children and adults could pick them up and read things they didn't have access to, or listen to an album they didn't have access to. Langston Hughes' poem is incredibly powerful, and Bryan Collier's illustrations are too. And I hope that you enjoyed this book. Thank you.